So after that happened, all of a sudden, Cindy just so that was a noontime meeting, and then I went to sleep when I got back. I was still exhausted. I was so tired, and she had been gone all afternoon. And she came in the door. I saw her, like, she woke me up pacing down the hallway with her steps, and I saw her, and it kind of woke me up. And she came in and she was like, "You have to get your crap and get out." And I was like, what did I do? I was like, what did I do? Like, I was cleaning up after myself. She was in love with Cooper. Like, I didn't understand. And she goes, you got to be out of here today. So Mick had gone back to work, but he didn't have money. Like, all my bridges were burnt because I was a drug addict for years. So everybody from Birmingham that had any money, you know what I'm saying, they weren't going to help me. Why would they? And so I didn't know what to do. So I tried to call, I tried to get money, it wasn't coming through. So I asked Cindy, because we were in a hotel right next to the very first hotel I was at. It was like 3 in a row right there. So I said, will you walk over there and see if you can get in touch with I won't say her name because she's asked me not to, because she's in a situation for her own protection. So I'm not going to say her name, but so the lady from the first night, I said, just go see if I can crash on her floor. And Cindy said she would keep Cooper. And so she goes over there to do that. And so in my days of meth and becoming addicted to online gambling, because I had so much time on my hands, never sleeping, I got on my game. I got on Facebook to talk to the platform, and I talked them into giving me $2 of free play. And so this was the same group that hadn't cashed me out with the $616. I said, come on, y'all. You can't just give me $2. So they gave me $2. I went on there and I did a spin on my favorite game, and it was 50 cents. I won 20 cents, which gave me $1.70. And in that moment, I just bowed my head. I was holding my tablet in my hand, and I said, God, I don't know why you have me here, but I trust you, and I trust whatever it is that you're doing with me. And the tablet just starts going, and then, so I look down, and there's a jackpot for $117. So I'm like, I just start crying, because, like, I realize, like, God is right there right now. Like, he has come and he has met me in the middle of my mess. He has made a way for me when I had no way, when the people who were talking to me were either kicking me out of the hotel, or Mick, who didn't have any funds to help, or anything. But God was right there. He met me right in the middle of it. And I don't think that it's okay to gamble. I think that in Proverbs it talks about getting riches hastily. And I, in the beginning I was like, I was raised against it, so how could God use it? But God comes and meets people in the trap houses. God will come. It's we're not paying attention. Jesus didn't come for the righteous. He came for the sinners. Where are you going to meet the sinners? Where they sin at? So the $117, I run outside to stop Cindy from going to the other hotel, to tell her that now I have money to get my own room. And she was nowhere. So I called Mick to tell him, like, guess what God's done? Well, he was in a meeting with one of his people at the Sober Living, so he declined the call. So I'm like, so I go back upstairs to the hotel room, and I literally fell to my knees beside the bed on my face and was like, thank you, God. And I haven't turned back from that. Once I realized in that moment that that's all that I needed, and that the people he had sent to pray over me were sent ahead of what was going to happen, so that I would know all I had to do was depend on him. So Cindy came back. She was gone for a good little piece of time. She comes back, and I'm like getting up off the floor, because she thought someone had died. Like, she had heard me crying from down the hall, and she thought somebody had died. And so I'm pulling myself up off the floor, and she's like, come here. She's like trying to hug me, and she's like, I don't even know why, but she goes, see, you're enough. And I was like, what? And she was like, who died, you know? And I said, no, and I explained to her what God had done. And she goes, well, that's good, because LaShawn said you can't. Said her name.